Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, immersion, inspiring, emotional connection. We visit the North Florida Wildlife Center with an array of biodiversity, from this curious cotton-top tamarin to the world-famous king, Boomy. We learn what it takes to sustain their in-depth enrichment programs and how the goal of connecting people to nature can quite literally change the world. We also discover several rare, threatened avian species on our tour. And later in the show, we're back in Mayaka where we meet Merle. Be inspired by her forgiving heart and learn how Dante's Den has been able to make her whole again. Don't go anywhere. Animal Outtakes starts now. The North Florida Wildlife Center is located in Lamont, Florida, just east of Tallahassee. It's a nonprofit organization active in education and ecosystem recovery. Their purpose is to conserve wildlife through outreach and habitat restoration. They're also involved with propagating rare and endangered species from all over the world. It's a lofty mission, one that comes from the heart of its founder, Ryan Rains. The center has amassed quite the following on social media, hundreds of thousands of followers, which he says helps to connect people to nature in a positive way, hoping that both the online presence and the in-person experience will inspire humans to make change.
We are going to start in one of my favorite areas of the park, which is an area currently being developed. It is called Tropical Treasures. And so this is our under construction aviary complex. And we have the first 7 aviaries completed here. They're currently housing over a dozen species. And we have all these smaller aviaries around the perimeter of the complex that long-term will be for breeding pairs of rare and threatened or SSP species. And we have an exciting development here. Our spectacled owls are actually nesting. So this is a species from Central and South America. They look a little bit different than our native owls. And in here we have lots of different species. We have helmeted curassow, we have extinct in the wild Vietnamese pheasant, we have gray-headed purple swamp hens, Nicobar pigeons, azure-winged magpies, and most of the animals, birds, we have exclusively birds in here right now. Most of the birds that we see here have been sent to us from other zoological facilities like wildlife centers, AZA accredited zoos. There's also a few surrendered pets in here. So it's a really, really nice assortment of so many incredible exotic species. And we have our black-casked wattled hornbills here. They're pretty neat. And hornbills are well known for their breeding habits, in which the pair will find a tree cavity and the female gets sealed inside that tree cavity, and they just leave a hole big enough to pass food back and forth between the male and female to the chick. So that's really interesting. Our goal was to get guests really engaged with birds. You know, people don't visit to see birds. They visit to see, you know, the rescued foxes or the soft kangaroos or the fluffy capybara, right? But people really linger in here and stop at every aviary and take photos and observe, and that was our goal. I founded the Wildlife Center in 2019, right before COVID. And the following couple of years were really rough. How the wildlife started was just with a dream and some volunteers and some rescued animals. We ended up finding this property, and it was not without incredible support from volunteers, board members, the community, family, friends. And we've made it, you know, we're still developing, but we've definitely made it. So we're very excited about not just what we're doing for the animals, but for the community And not just for the animals here, but for animals everywhere. We have a lot of international conservation partners. One of them that I like to highlight is Green Again Madagascar. And that organization was actually started by someone who's originally from Tallahassee. And so we help do in situ, in the field conservation work at the moment, because we're a small staff, mainly by sending funds to help further our partners' conservation efforts. So in Madagascar, we're planting a little over 1,200 trees every year. So our lemur encounters, our ambassador lemurs here help to fund that. So these are two of our black and white ruffed lemurs who just got released onto habitat for some lunch. So they got some yummy fruits, veggies, and some primate biscuits there. So these two are our females. We have 2 male, 2 female. We have Anja on the left and Reina on the right. And these guys are native to Madagascar, like all lemurs. And unfortunately, like I said, they are critically endangered in the wild. That is due mostly to habitat destruction. There's only a few thousand of these guys left in the wild. You can see we give them different kinds of forage feeders. Our animal care team has spread their food out across different platforms and perching to keep them nice and engaged. We want them to have to jump around, climb about. We have a pretty in-depth enrichment program, so we want to make sure all the animals are as enriched and, not just mentally healthy, but mentally stimulated as much as possible. So that looks different for different groups of animals, right? For the primates, that might look like a little bit more of enrichment in the form of toys or forage feeders or some kind of item that they have to manipulate with their hands and whatnot, things a little more complex than some of the other animals would get. We're really big on forage feeders. The animals don't always just get food in a bowl. They got to work for it a little bit, and they enjoy that.
This right here is Charlie. Charlie is one of our newer residents here at the Wildlife Center. He was actually an ex-pet, and his parents did an amazing job at raising him, as well as his scarlet macaw brother. But unfortunately, they did get to an age where they just did not feel comfortable raising them anymore. Macaws do live potentially 60, 70, even 80 years here in human care, so it is not a pet that you just get on a whim. A lot of the times you do have to plan accordingly to make sure that they are taken care of properly. For our macaws and or any of our South American species, we can talk about just being smart consumers. So something that I love to talk about with our South America kiddos is the Rainforest Alliance. It's as simple as being a smart shopper. You look for a little green tree frog on the products that you're buying, on the packaging. And if you see that green tree frog, you know that those companies are a part of the Rainforest Alliance, and those alliance members are being conscious of their eco footprint. I also like to tell guests, if they shop at Starbucks or Dunkin' or Wawa, those 3 big companies are actually a part of the Rainforest Alliance. So it shows them that they're already doing it, which is also a huge motivator, because sometimes people think that they can't do it if they've never done it before.
We have diversified well past your average, the public perception of an average wildlife center, which the public perception is mainly, native rescued species, which we have lots of, but we also have dozens of species from all over the world, as you'd find at a, zoo or wildlife sanctuary. Down this way, we have our cotton-topped tamarins, who also just had twins recently. We're very big on immersion because that gives you, there's less emotional distance between you and the animal if you're able to see them close up, hear them, see them, really get to see their face close up. So that emotional connection helps to inspire that action a little bit more. And this right here is Ember. Ember is our male golden-handed tamarin. He's a gorgeous animal. Guests say they look like they have dipped their hands in a Cheetos bag. This is Nosferatu, our male saddle-billed stork. These guys are native to sub-Saharan Africa. And this is one of my favorite animals in the world. And I actually had the privilege of seeing saddle-billed storks in the wild in Africa. And one actually flew over me, a good bit away from me, but flew over my head. And it was just one of the most moving experiences of my life. And to work with them in human care, in a captive setting, just gives you a completely different kind of appreciation for the animals. and it makes you want to do so much more for them. And our goal is to give the animals as natural of a life possible without the natural stresses. This is Raja, our rhinoceros hornbill. She is one of my favorites. There are not a whole lot of rhinoceros hornbills in the United States, so we are very lucky to work with Raja. But these guys are one of the most endangered of the hornbills. They are threatened in the wild. And then also the ivory trade, especially in Southeast Asia, they get hunted for their casque, the same way rhinos are hunted for their horn and elephants for their tusk, and etc. So she's an incredible animal. We want to preserve biodiversity, especially reversing or mitigating any kind of harm being done to species that is directly or indirectly related to human activity. So these guys are our straw-colored fruit bats. They are absolutely incredible. They're really big bats, but these guys are flying foxes, so they are one of the larger species of bats. They have about a 3-foot wingspan, and they came to us from Jacksonville Zoo. They eat a whole lot of fruit every day. I think more than all our birds do combined. And believe it or not, there are 21 bats in that huddle right there.
The Wildlife Center has actually become a humongous part of my life. This is a place where we can make our animal dreams come true, help with conservation, educate the public on why it's so important to protect our natural species. It's also a place where we can facilitate connections between our guests and our animals. That's a really great way to have them really dive deep into the world of conservation. And we do so in such a way that is amazing for our animal welfare and also very exciting for our guests.
I am totally fascinated by life and nature. I mean, just all the forms, all the shapes that animals, and life can take is so fascinating to me. And biodiversity is amazing, amazing. And when it's gone, at least in our lifetimes, in many, 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 many lifetimes from now, So it doesn't take much effort to preserve it. It just takes a little bit of education and a little bit of environmental planning and consciousness. So, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to exhibit this incredible array of biodiversity that the world has for us, especially in the form of birds. We love our birds. And, get people to care a little bit. We want people to be inspired. We want people to be awestruck. We want people to be wowed. We want people to feel close to these animals emotionally, make them care.
If you'd like to learn more about this center, you can go to northfloridawildlife.org. And our tour isn't over yet. Coming up after the break, we head in the fox den to meet a few ambassadors to see what happens when you try to make a pet out of an animal that's meant to be wild.
At Dante's Den Foundation, we let the dogs tell us who they are. We welcome our boarding friends with open arms and open hearts. When your pup spends time with us, we offer a personalized experience, from how they like to play to when they need to relax. Our staff is on site 24/7, and we honor dietary needs along with special requests. We do our best to make it a home away from home by providing a safe and comfortable environment. Dante's Den Foundation. It's a great place to be a dog.
We are going to be going in and hanging out with Cypress and Willow. They are our 2 gray foxes. These guys, along with Charlie, were former pets. Somebody had them in their home, which is wild to me because these guys are extremely stinky. Their owners realized that, hey, maybe not the best fit for us, and then brought them to the Wildlife Center, and they've been here ever since. These guys are extremely fun to work with. They are extremely fast-paced. That's kind of an animal that I enjoy, is someone that keeps me on my toes, and we just go, 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 go. Their personalities do differ. Cypress, our male, is definitely a lot more energetic than Willow, our female. Sit. Good girl. And we do a lot of positive reinforcement training with these guys. So something that I am very passionate about is our animals choosing to participate in their own care. We call those husbandry behaviors. So something that these guys are actively working on right now is voluntarily kenneling. That's one of the safest ways we can transport them to and from our vet, since she is not on property. Willow also knows how to sit. Can you sit? Good girl. So this allows us to get a really good look at her body. And they both know how to target. So if we offer up a closed fist, or we have something called a lollipop target, they'll press their little nose to it. It again allows us to kind of hold them in one position while we get an overall look at their body. Good job. Willow has been extremely successful with her kenneling, so we did just recently get Willow spayed. They were not recommended to breed, and I believe that her first pregnancy that she had was successful, but it was unfortunately a little hard on her. So we actively chose to get her spayed to make sure that she lived the most comfortable life as possible, and she completely voluntarily kenneled for that procedure, and I was over the moon excited with it. Like I mentioned before, animals are extremely intelligent, and they tend to know when something different is happening. Hey now, let's be nice. So the fact that she kenneled without any reinforcement was huge. These guys are going to be extremely musty. It's one of the ways that they tend to kind of mark their territories. They urinate on absolutely everything. So if it doesn't smell like fox and it comes into the habitat, within a couple of minutes, these guys are already peeing all over it to make sure that it smells just like them. These guys are omnivores, so they eat a little of everything. They are a part of the ecosystem. They are extremely important to balancing, especially our native Florida ecosystem. You can find them here in Florida all the way up the East Coast, and also all the way down into Mexico and South America. Very wide range species of animal. But these guys are gonna help keep our pest populations down, but they also will eat roots, and they'll eat berries and things like that. So they kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. So something that I love to talk about with our gray foxes is the Forest Stewardship Council. It's a lot like the Rainforest Alliance, but it's here in our own local community. They're making sure that they're not taking too many products from our forests when creating their products. So unfortunately with our gray foxes, the biggest thing impacting their species is us as humans. We need products, we need space. So we tend to encroach on their space, which then unfortunately usually has some pretty negative effects.
And we continue our visit at the North Florida Wildlife Center after the break, where you'll meet this world-famous anteater who's helped put conservation on the map. This fascinating mammal may just capture your heart too.
So we do have a world famous anteater here at the North Florida Wildlife Center. His name is Boomy, but our fans usually hail him as King Boomy because he is definitely the king of the Wildlife Center. Boomy is our giant anteater. This is a species that comes from Central and South America, and being a giant anteater, he is the largest of his species. So there's lots of different little anteater species. They all tend to be arboreal, so living up in the treetops. Him being so large, usually ranging from 90 to 120 pounds, they are definitely not able to live up in the treetops. Boomy, I think, has gotten his notoriety from just being extremely charismatic. He is usually always interacting with his enrichment. He absolutely loves participating in our encounters with our guests, and again, facilitating that connection that we love to make. There's honestly just something about him. I think he also is a very weird looking animal. Anteaters are not something that a common person would know about and or see on a regular basis. So having an animal with an extremely long nose, it's a mammal with no teeth. Their tongue is 2 foot long. Just a very, very, very weird animal that, again, a lot of people don't understand the concept of. Out in their natural habitat, giant anteaters will usually eat from 30,000 to 40,000 ants a day. Obviously here at the Wildlife Center, that's not plausible. And at most zoological facilities, that is absolutely not plausible. That's a humongous resource that I don't even know how we would get to have 30 to 40,000 ants a day. So the zoological community has actually come up with an insectivore pellet. It's a great way to substitute for his natural diet. Here at the Wildlife Center, not only does he get insectivore pellet, but he does also get either dried or live insects, usually crickets or mealworms, sometimes botfly larvae. We will also go out into our Wildlife Center, and if we see any large ant hills, we'll toss them in, and he can have his enrichment that way. He also gets a lot of hard-boiled egg. So hard-boiled egg is a reinforcer that he tends to love, and I know we should not anthropomorphize, but he'll do anything for a good hard-boiled egg. We'll also offer sometimes banana or avocado, sometimes some melon, just to kind of mix it up for his day. But yes, he does eat quite a bit, and luckily we do not have to search for 30 to 40,000 ants in one single day, because that would be really hard.
For more on the tangible ways you can help this wildlife center pursue their mission, you can find them on several social media platforms with additional engaging content, along with the information about their international connections. And we'll be right back. Merle is a 5-year-old pit bull mix, and she was a rescue. However, bad times came a-calling, and sure enough, her owner got very, very ill, could not take care of her, and she started acting out. And so Merle got relegated to the garage. Not a great place. And this happened in January. If you remember, we were very cold in Florida in January. Being in that garage, she became very ill. She was actually drinking water out of the pool, wondering why she was getting sick. So we were called in to come and get her, and get her we did. She voluntarily walked out of the house and came to Dante's den. She never did what other dogs will do. Occasionally they will go in a corner and they will shake, and some of them actually cry and they whine, but not Merle. She looked to us as if to say, I want a different life. Help me get there. And sure enough, Merle started coming around. The first thing we did, of course, was medically address all of her issues. And then we taught her how to play ball. She wanted a different life, and we are so happy that we were able to make that change for her. The future for Merle is truly twofold. If somebody wishes to adopt her and give her an even better home than we do, we will consider it. But if not, she will enter our lifetime care program, and she will spend the rest of her days here at Dante's Den playing a lot of ball.
Animal Outtakes is produced by Dante's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dante's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org.
We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. And we'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some engaging educational encounters. And until then, thanks for watching.